Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 25th day. This day really sticks out to me. 25th day of January, back in the day, about 25 years ago or so, when I was a kid growing up. This day, around the 25th, 26th, 27th, this is usually the day the Super Bowl will be played on. Instead, we have the championship conference, championship games this weekend. And of course, the Super Bowl will be 2 weeks after that, which I'm glad. I'm happy that it's being pulled out to right around just before Valentine's Day. I would prefer President's Day, maybe 1 week back. But hey, beggars can't be choosy. I've got Keith Angle coming in later from TGI Sports around 30 to 35 minutes after the hour. Josh Heupel, University of Tennessee, they didn't hesitate. They went on and extended him. I'll give you my comments on that. Also, Rand Carlton. Got another Rand Carlton bit. The newly acquired general manager for the Tennessee Titans. Talk about him. Interesting quote he said the other day. I will get to everything, and plus Aaron Rodgers. There's a story about the Packers, if they trade him and would consider trading him, if he even comes back, going just to the AFC. My comments on that. But first, let's get this first break out of the way, and we'll get this show on the road here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. After 5 years of doing this program once a week, balancing a 60-hour work week job, I've decided to do the program 5 days a week, 1 hour a night, taking a significant pay cut. So I've started a Patreon page, which is Patreon, Patreon/SportsScope, spelled the same way at the bottom of the screen you see there, for $5 a month, 17 cents a day. You can help support the program. You ask yourself, why Sports Scope? Well, I bring in such big names such as Al Borges, former Auburn offensive coordinator, and I cover the big news in sports that the corporate media will not cover. If you want to contribute more than $5 a month, you can go use the Cash App. The cash tag is Sports Scope, again spelled the same way, or you can go to the Zelle app, sportscope@gmail.com. SportsScope has about 5,000 followers and growing. If you want to advertise on the program, you can email me. The word is SportsScope, spelled the same way again, @gmail.com. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then. Let's see. Okay. Now we're live here on all links here. Back again. Now, story came out yesterday afternoon that Aaron Rodgers was admittedly unsure about his NFL future, but star quarterback later emphasized that he would open up playing elsewhere if the right opportunity arose. And now, just 2 weeks for the playoff game left until the start of the offseason, Green Bay is expected to consider a trade of Aaron Rodgers. Now, this is according to Adam Schefter of ESPN. He said, quote, "It's hard to imagine he's going to retire, walk away from $110 million guaranteed." Adam said, Schefter said Tuesday on Sports Center. So that means he's either going to be in the Black Arena or team elsewhere. Now, also Schefter said this doesn't mean it will happen, but if he wants that, according to the Packers through Adam Schefter, that they'd be on the same stage and it would go ahead and trade him, it would be to the AFC. Now, I don't know if Rodgers is going to retire or not. He's still, air quote, thinking things over. From last time I heard him, he goes on the Pat McAfee show every Tuesday and talks about this. This article from CBS should say, should Rodgers and the Packers look to part ways after 18 seasons together, a number of AFC teams would likely be in play for the four-time MVP. This article mentions the Jets, the Raiders, the Titans here in Nashville, and the Patriots stand out as legit suitors. Okay, Las Vegas has set to trade Derek Carr. We know about that. Last year, acquired about Aaron Rodgers. Top target, Devontae Adams. Tennessee could move on from Ryan Tannehill. New England is restructuring its offensive staff. Now, I'll say this. None of this really makes sense. They really just don't make sense here. Jets possibly could go after Derek Carr or Jimmy Garoppolo. So you want to put those guys in there. But who's going to be the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets? Rodgers wants his name circling on social media. Drama queen, what Pickle says. Yeah. So, you look at the Jets. They're probably going to look at it. Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old, guys. He didn't have a bad season last year necessarily, but was nowhere near up to his MVP level prior to that. I get that. And we know they lost Devontae Adams. Okay. And so my thing is the Jets would probably want to go for a younger quarterback. But Derek Carr would probably be more of a legitimate feel for the Jets because of his age and whatnot. He's going to be a lot cheaper. So I think after they look at a guy like a Derek Carr in his 30s, I want to say he's like 31 versus a guy like an Aaron Rodgers who's 40, that would probably make more sense for the Jets. But the Jets got to get that offensive coordinator thing situated. That's played a big part in why Tom Brady, the other free agent quarterback, had left Tampa. He was not satisfied with what transpired with Byron Leftwich, the coordinator there. And yes, Corey, that's the same guy that used to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars as a quarterback about 15 years ago. Now, so I'm thinking those other options for the Jets, not unless they get somebody that Rodgers, maybe they get former Rodgers offensive coordinator Hackett and bring him over since he's been fired from Denver. That would make sense. More sense. So those pieces have to roll. Now, those pieces have to fall in place. Now, will you say, what about Tennessee? Tennessee they're $23 million over the salary cap currently. Rodgers still has $100 million in guaranteed money. So how's Tennessee going to have to replace their offensive line that they need to replace? By the way, Mel Kiper come up with his first mock draft. Tennessee Titans pick at 11th overall. They have them taking an offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Like I was telling a friend of mine at work today, I would like to see him get this Snodgrass guy from Sonorsky or whatever from Northwestern, but that means no, never mind. Now, so the Titans would have to dump $23 million in dead cap money and go out and get an offensive tackle and go out and get another receiver for him to throw to. And by the way, find money to pay all that to a 40-year-old plus quarterback. And plus, they're going to have to give some kind of compensation to the Green Bay Packers. Does not make a lick of sense to me. That's too many. A good general manager can make that happen. But how much of your future do you want to mortgage for a guy who is constantly talking about retirement? I don't know if I want to do that, okay? They have too many needs here. I know he's got a place here. I think he would fit in good here. If he was an air quote free agent and this was a Tom Brady situation, it'd be a lot easier. But when you're trying to move around all that dead money, rob Peter to pay Paul, it could end up, you can do it and push a lot of that money back if you're Tennessee. But eventually, what if the guy retires after a year and you've got $75, $80 million over the cap and dead money? I mean, that is just a bunch of gobbledygook. Now, if he was a Tom Brady type of guy and he could play to his 45 and he developed that short passing game, yeah, that would be more suitable if you're going to get him for 3 or 4 more years. But I just don't sense that out of Rodgers. Now, the Raiders, a little bit better financial shape. They're going to trade Derek Carr, if not release him. They will have $20 million the other way in cap space. Devontae Adams obviously played with Rodgers for a number of years with the Green Bay Packers. He would be reunited, and it feels so good, right? Like the song says, with Devontae Adams. That'd make more sense. But guess what? They also need offensive line help. They do have a good running back there in Josh Jacobs. Here's my big bugaboo about him going to the Raiders. He's a very strong, my way or the highway type of personality. And Josh McDaniels so far has not proven that he can get along with top-notch franchise quarterbacks. Going back to Derek Carr, 1 year with Josh McDaniels, he's gone. I'd like to hear the real story of why that didn't work. Going back even farther, I know he's very young, but it did not work out when Josh McDaniels worked with Jay Cutler. Cutler found out he was trying to trade him in first season there. They could not reconcile that. Tom Brady going off on McDaniels. He can work with McDaniels, but they have had their spats on the sideline quite a few times in games. Some people say that's his competition. You're in the heat of the moment. I'm not so sure about that. But McDaniels is one of those people. He seems to rub these older quarterbacks the wrong way. I do not see that marriage working, even though it sounds good on paper, and it very well may go out. I'm wondering how Josh McDaniels and Aaron Rodgers would work. My guess is, from the outside looking in, that would not work, in my opinion, judging by their personalities, folks. So those teams mentioned in this article, and of course, that's why my show is superior to a CBS article, okay? That's why Sports Scope will be the best, if not is the best, is because nobody in this article here, they mentioned, and of course they did mention the New England Patriots. Now, the Patriots, I could ask Keith Engel, who will be on in about 20 minutes or so, what about the Patriots getting their offense? They've got Bill O'Brien back. Okay. Do you think Aaron Rodgers would get along with Bill O'Brien? They can technically afford this. They can afford it. They're like 50-something million in cap space. But do you really want to go with the Aaron Rodgers? His standoffishness and some of his comments, that's not going to gel well with strong personality Bill Belichick. They would butt heads big time. Bill Belichick won't put up with any of that stuff. It could possibly work. They go out and get a receiver. They got the defense intact. That would be ideal. Okay. But I don't know. I really don't think that would work with Bill Belichick. And quite frankly, I'm not ready to sell Mac Jones stock. Mac Jones is coming into his third year. He's still got rookie contract money, which is very good for the team's team-friendly money coming into this 23 season and this 24 season with Bill O'Brien coming back. Okay, so not sure if that would work. It makes sense just to kind of keep Mac Jones, in my opinion, even over a guy like a Aaron Rodgers. So who would be the best? Again, CBS didn't mention it. Baltimore, they're $33 million in cap space. Did you see the Baltimore defense the last game that they played after they acquired Roquan Smith? They pushed this Cincinnati team who dominated Buffalo. They pushed them to the brink. They pushed them. So, if it don't work out with Lamar, which I'm saying 60-40, it doesn't, you're going to get some draft capital from the Lamar trade, ship him off to a sucker like the Jets, or the Washington Commanders, ship him off over there, get some draft capital there, flip that draft capital over to Green Bay, bring Aaron Rodgers down to the Packers. You got a ready-made defense. You got a ready-made offensive line. You've got Bateman, the receiver. Remember that first-round pick they got from the University of Minnesota? He'll be happy again. You have an all-world tight end, top 3 fantasy-wise. I know he's top 3 when he's on. Mark Andrews. Go out and acquire another wide receiver. Wide receivers would change their tune in free agency if you got a guy like an Aaron Rodgers throwing to them. So you've got the money in cap. You've already got the defense in line, a top 5 defense in every single statistical category. Running game, you've got J.K. Dobbins, all those guys. You can compete with Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. You can compete with Joe Burrow, the best quarterback currently in the game in Cincinnati in that division. And you can compete with a much improved and a very tough Pittsburgh Steelers team. You could get John Harbaugh his second ring and help bring the city of Baltimore a championship. And you've got the money to pay him. You've got the extra draft capital. Baltimore, Aaron Rodgers would be the man. I'm going to tell everybody, you the man, you the man, you the man. Sign with the Ravens if you can. Okay, so that's the way I see it. Pickle says Mac Jones will be the quarterback in New England next year. Yeah, I was starting to come. You know, the Patriots, and like I said, we'll bring Keith Engel on here in just a little bit. The Patriots look good down the stretch. Watching this game, I want to say Christmas Day or Christmas Eve when we had all those games on, which is great, by the way. I love that. Defense looked really good. They practically shut Joe Burrow out in that offense in the second half, if you guys recall. The Bengals had to hold on. They had to hold on at the end. The Patriots, they were making some adjustments. They were starting to get a little bit better towards the end there, but they couldn't quite finish it. They had zero business, folks, zero business putting in a defensive coordinator. It's been a defensive coordinator his whole career, and just say, you be an offensive coordinator. No, and Matt Patricia. But now you've got a Bill O'Brien. You've got a guy that knows the game much better, quarterback coach, head coach type of guy than he is being a general manager and a head coach, and he's a pretty good offensive coordinator. Brady did pretty well under Bill O'Brien. I think he would gel well there with a Mac Jones, knowing his Alabama background, already having to deal with Bryce Young and whatnot. That would be a good marriage. You got a lot of money there. So, yeah, that would be really ideal. And Pickle says Bill Belichick never admit he's wrong. Yeah, he was probably Bill Belichick told Pickles. He was Robert Kraft probably said, hey, man, you get an offensive coordinator, I'm going to have to let you go. This is crazy. I gave you guys the stats, 7 more touchdowns. His rookie year, you're supposed to get better, right? His rookie year than last year, passer rating down. Everything was down. Only thing was up was Mac Jones's interceptions, actually. So bringing in Bill O'Brien it's going to be a total home run. Just how long a home run and how many runs are you going to get? You're going to get a solo home run and you have just a few games better, a few stats better, or is it going to be a 2-run home run or a potential grand slam? That remains to be seen. I want to see what else they're going to do at receiver there. They still got Hunter Henry under contract and Jonnu Smith. Hopefully you can get those two involved more in that situation, though. But Aaron Rodgers should be a Baltimore Raven. Nobody's bringing that up but me. But, hey, that's why I'm going to step ahead of those other gutter brains personalities in the NFL. Okay. Interesting story here. Now, switching gears, Tennessee Titans just hired a general manager here, Ryan Carthon. I talked about him last week. Really interesting guy. Me and him, same age, both 41 years old. He tells this story about his wife-to-be thinking he is a dreamer. He's a bit of a dreamer, a la-la land guy in college when they were dating, and considered stop dating him because he told him what he really wanted to do with his career post-football. Listen up. This is Ron Carthon, the new general manager for the Tennessee Titans.
Finally, my wife. We've been together 20 years now, and she brought up the point. It was the spring semester of 2003, and she asked me what did I want to do outside of playing football. Um, and I told her I was like, one day I want to be a GM of the NFL football team. She later told me she almost stopped dating me because she never met somebody that lived in La La Land. But honey, today that dream comes true, and we're realizing that work that we put in. Thank you for being my rock.
Yeah, and he gives her all the praise and all that. But you know, I talk about this a lot. Uh, chasing happiness in your life, chasing what you really want to go for, and not and I'm glad he told that story. A lot of young men my age and younger, myself included, I've always shot for big things in my life, and I can tell when I was trying to date a woman to get her to go back on a second date or whatnot with me, that when I told her I was trying to do something big, I could tell she was not on board. She was putting me in the La La Land category. Now, what if he would have picked up on that? What if he would have picked up on that and said, as soon as football's done, I'm going to do a regular job. I'm not really going to do what I want to do, because I want to keep her happy. I want to stay married. I want to be married. I want to be settled down. I want to make her happy. Well, you know how that probably would have ended. There was going to be some secret resentfulness there, saying as the years go along, and you're doing something you really don't want to do, but you're doing it for safety concerns, doing it for security concerns. You're doing it to get that significant other, get that need met, but you're spending your days 9 to 5 doing a job you don't want to do. That resentment's going to build up, and I'm pretty sure 20 years later, they're not still going to be married. Okay, so what if you do that? You know, uh, that really so it's just one of those things. uh when you're single, people are single and want to impress a woman. You tell them what they want to hear as far as career stuff, and I've actually done this too. I'm very hesitant to tell when I've tried new ventures, but hey, I moved to New York to become an actor. I start a podcast, want to get a show going. I'm very reluctant to tell them that, But the truth of the matter is, for my male friends out there, for my guys out there, just tell them what you really want to do in life early on, because eventually you're going to be yourself anyways. Don't waste your time on, Steve Harvey says, small people with small minds and small visions. You just, you can't tell big dreams to a small-minded person. There's a lot of them out there. Trust me, a lot of them out there. That's one reason why I'm single to this day. But I've learned just to not to waste that time. Go ahead and do it. She'll let you know if she's the real deal. And of course, same thing, if you're a woman and you're doing an oddball field, maybe you're trying to be a national reporter somewhere. I've met some journalists in here, or you have a job that's traveling a lot, but you really like what you do, and he's not down with that. There's some insecurity there. Uh, you don't crush who you are to complete someone else. You don't crush who you are. And I like that. This guy's got an interesting story. So this is you play the long game, and you follow what you really want to do in life. You're going to get up with a smile on your face every day. 20 years in the making. 20 years in the making. He finally got a chance to become a general manager. And of course, this guy played a few years after college. Then he got in and started from the ground up and building his way up. What if he would have played a few years in college and sold car insurance? What if he'd have played a few years and just took a banker job? You just can't kill who you are for another person just to have another person around my insecure friends who watch this program. You just can't do that. You can, but you're dead on the inside. You're dead on the inside. So Ron Carthon, Tennessee, and Mel Kiper come out with his first mock draft today. And I bring up Mel Kiper from ESPN is because when he was really young, like Ron Carthon, he would put together a draft through newspaper articles, magazines, and Carthon, my age, again, in the 90s, early 90s, 9, 10, 11 years old, this guy is taking magazines and he's writing down players and stuff. He's putting together his own mock draft when it wasn't fashionable, So I really hope this guy is successful, not because I'm out of Nashville, but just because I like the guy's story. I like that story. I like what he told about his wife. A lot of women don't go for that. They are going to walk away. Soon as he's done playing football, they break up. So go figure. His dad, Maurice Carton, a big-time fullback. Big Pickle says you missed every shot you don't take. Love watching the show. Thanks for my friends joining me. Thank you, Olivia. Thank you very much. So yeah, some guys, they have to start off smaller than others. I get that. But you have to have a long game approach in hand to do that. Okay, going to touch on a little bit of college news before Keith comes on here. Josh Heupel from the Tennessee Volunteers, not really trying to have an all Tennessee show to the guys, but it just happened to be in the news today. Has signed an extension to 2028 here. And he's going to make $9 million a year, according to this article here. Tennessee coach Josh Heupel's agreed a contract extension, which includes a raise, pay him $9 million annually, keep him in Knoxville to 2028. He's 18-8 in 2 seasons and led the team to their first New Year's Six BCS Bowl since 1999. The Volunteers finished 6th and was number 1 in the team in the country in the first playoff rankings back in 2022. I'll say this. Did not see this coming. 2 years ago, I thought this guy would be on the hot seat or already fired when they hired the guy. Heupel, again, for those you're not really familiar with, he used to be quarterback. He played quarterback for Oklahoma, won a national championship in 2000 for Oklahoma, and I'm not 100% sold on him. He's going to be the guy, but I'm about 90 after what happened last year, beating Alabama, first time in 15 years, beating Florida, first time since 2016. But look, check this out. When he was hired, this was my argument for why I wasn't in love with the hire. Heupel came over from UCF. First year he was at UCF under Scott Frost, who left to take Nebraska job, which he later got fired. It didn't work out. He was 12-1. Then his second year at UCF, he went 10-3. Then he went 6-4. He's going in the wrong direction. Now here at Tennessee, he went 7-6 year one. Then he went 11-2. But I was really encouraged when he brought in Joe Milton, the backup quarterback. Remember, Hendon Hooker got injured I think he tore an ACL or something in the South Carolina game, another game where they got totally blown out. One of the worst game of the season for Tennessee. But he brought in Joe Milton. He had a great game against Clemson's defense and helped them beat Clemson in their blowout, somewhat of a blowout win. But again, South Carolina loss makes me think about the fact that spread teams usually don't do well as the season gets longer. You have to start running the ball more, or you're going to have games like the South Carolina game where you're never going to win a national championship. Now, what can counter that argument is the fact that when they played Georgia, one of the commentators made a point, and I didn't even catch this, but he said these guys actually have more rush attempts. They have more rush attempts than the Tennessee, than the Georgia Bulldogs. So, long story short, they did get the number 8 recruiting class in the country. And after that big season, and they had the second-ranked quarterback behind only Arch Manning. So things are looking up for the University of Tennessee. They need to add a little bit more of a power running game as the season goes along to get away from that spread offensive collapse that a lot of teams do, because you don't want to wear your own defense out. Rather than that, I think it's a really interesting, a pretty good extension there. But that being said, I've got Keith Engel backstage, and I wanted to bring him on because we had some big news out of New England. Hey, Keith.
Hello, Robert.
Hey, good to see you, brother. Good. Oh, got the Miami Hurricanes, huh?
Yeah, well, we just got through doing the sports huddle, so I like to put my U shirt, one of my U shirts on, and even the basketball team's playing not too bad, probably better than the football team. So yeah, we want to support the Canes, and I feel bad because now I get to spend a little time with it. Usually we pass on a Sunday for like 5 seconds. You're my cue to go start my show. So
yeah, well, I thought it'd be a good time to bring you back on when the Patriots there go out and hire Bill O'Brien. Now, let me ask you about this. Now, this opening, the season's been done for weeks now. Yeah. Do you think that Bill O'Brien, do you think that Nick Saban and Bill Belichick had a conversation about this? Because, Belichick or Saban doesn't like people taking his assistants to hire him the same type of job. Do you think maybe they wanted to wait until Saban had a backup lined up before he did that and finished out some kind of recruiting? What's your thoughts behind that?
It's possible. I mean, Belichick, they also interviewed like 4 other candidates. I know Keenan McCardle was one of those guys, a Patriots tight end coach. And I didn't think they were going to hire within ever based on this last year. But there could have been some of that. I mean, Saban and Belichick are very close, as you likely know. And I think they talk about these things. And I think Bill O'Brien was probably the odds-on favorite the whole time. Belichick likes to hire people that he's familiar with. Yeah. And Bill O'Brien's got a history with Belichick and the Patriots. And I think this is a kind of a no-brainer. And that, it's funny you mentioned Saban not wanting to lose his assistants. He actually lost his defensive coordinator as well, went to Ole Miss. So,
oh, wow. Oh, man, another reason to just stomp Lane Kiffin in the ground.
Right. I mean, Kiffin's got to be like, here you go, Nick.
Oh, man. That is, see, I didn't even catch that.
That's a conversation. I'd like to have that conversation with Nick Saban. I'm doing that by text, right? I'm not seeing him face to face and saying, I'm going to.
Remember that line when he was coaching for Saban as an offensive coordinator, he calls this ridiculous pass play and I think it's picked off or something. They were winning big time, but he's going off on Kiffin. And they said, what was that? A disagreement? No, Kiffin's like, that's a butt chewing. That's what they didn't use that word, but yeah.
Yeah, there were some good little videos of Saban just trashing Kiffin on the sideline. That's for sure.
It's like he's disciplining a kid,
Yeah, it's funny because he's done that with a lot of assistants over the years, but I don't remember seeing one of those videos of him and O'Brien at all. So
no.
O'Brien probably hit up in the coaching box. He probably wasn't on the sideline. If I'm,
he calls it. So, what is your opinion of this hire? I love it, by the way.
I do too. Listen. Mac Jones needs. They didn't have no favors last year with this experiment with Matt Patricia, who's a bright guy and a good loyal assistant to Belichick. They'll find a place for him. He's theoretically been demoted, but from what? I mean, he really wasn't. He wasn't the offensive coordinator anyway. He just called the plays. So he'll find a job. Move him back to the defensive side of the ball where he can help. Get Judge on the special teams where they need help.
They gave him 2 special teams touchdowns to the Bills.
Oh, they were awful whole year. That game was just the topping on the cake. Get Judge back there and get an offensive coordinator in here, which they're doing. Yeah, who's strong, knows what he's doing, and he's good with quarterbacks. He was great with Tom Brady, and he's got a little bit of a relationship with Mac Jones. They kind of passed, in the night. He actually helped O'Brien get up to speed with some of the terminology in the offense at Alabama before he actually got drafted.
Oh, nice.
So they've got a little bit of a relationship, and Mac Jones needs that. Yeah. He didn't have that this year. He didn't have a strong quarterback coach because Joe Judge was the de facto quarterback coach. You need a guy.
I didn't know that. See, that's why I bring you on. So he was the quarterback coach.
Without the title, really. I mean, him and Patricia were kind of like in limbo. They didn't have real, titles. Patricia, I guess, was like the offensive line coach and assistant head coach, and Joe Judge had some nondescript title, but he was really the quarterback coach, and neither one of them are really. I mean, who's Mac Jones going to get help from? When he's struggling, and when he had those frustrated moments where you saw him come off the field, jawing at Matt Patricia, which, by the way, people
calls it dog cussing.
I love that. You know what? I watched Tom Brady do that for 20 years. I want to see my quarterback pissed off.
I was just talking about that with Josh McDaniels. There was an article that the Raiders would possibly be interested in trading for Aaron Rodgers. There's a report saying that if the Packers do trade Aaron Rodgers, it's an AFC team. Mm-hmm. Something? I don't know if McDaniels can get along with veteran quarterbacks. Remember the Jay Cutler? What's this up with Derek Carr? That incident. And I just don't know what the deal is with him and Brady. They seem okay, but man, they're going back and they really go at it sometimes. But back when he was playing with whatchamacallit there, it's a head coach of the Raiders. I just named his
McDaniel. You got him. You say
Josh McDaniels.
Yeah. Listen, Mike, they had some run-ins. Bill O'Brien had a really famous run-in. If you go look for the video, you'll find it, where Brady just trashed him on a sideline when he was.
Oh wow!
When he was here the first time as
he's just a super competitor, ain't
he? He is, and you know what? You have those relationships. You should be able to have those little spats, and then it's over, right? And Josh McDaniel doesn't seem to have those people skills with anybody but Tom Brady, is what it appears to be.
Yeah.
Or the quarterbacks are thick, thin-skinned, which is possible too. Derek Carr's never been one of my favorite guys, and I think Josh McDaniel was probably smart to move on from him, and probably should have done it before last year. He's only going to get one more year. He doesn't win next year, he's gone.
Do you think maybe Mark Davis moves on from him?
I would be shocked if he didn't. If he had another year like this, I mean, they should have. This team was too talented to be. Yeah. What they finished? I don't even remember. 6-11. I'm not even sure what their final record was. 6-11, 7-10.
Yeah, their defense is always towards the bottom, and their offensive line is so at times, and then times it's bad. It's not really consistent up there. Now the Patriots they're going to have some cap room, and that CBS article, by the way, they named the Patriots as a suitor for Aaron Rodgers. Do you think that'll happen?
No, I do not.
He wouldn't get along with Belichick, would he?
No, he wouldn't get along with Belichick, number one. They're not going to pay him the buddy, number two, right? I mean, they just don't. They're just not going to do that. They didn't pay Tom Brady. It's like one of the top quarterbacks in football any of the time he was there. And, he got paid. Don't get, how they, the cap finagling.
Yeah, but, they do those incentives and hits all those incentives. That's what I said about Daniel Jones. They just pay him like a base of 18 and do the incentives up to 35 or 40 if they get to the Super Bowl. You can't pay these guys a lot of money. There's an article out about that today on Spot Track that only guy that made over that 12.6% salary cap as a quarterback that's still left in the playoffs or even made the playoffs, was Patrick Mahomes at 35. And they just haven't, they got some draft capital from the Tyreek Hill trade really paid off. But it's just you pay these quarterbacks that big amount of money. It's really hard to build a championship team. It don't happen if you get over that.
Well, I was going to say the Patriots, to me, are still going to be married to Mac Jones, at least for another year, because they need help too many other places. They need help on the offensive line. They need a really good, game breaker or wide receiver.
Yeah.
They're going to need some help in the secondary, assuming Devin McCourty walks away, which it looks like he's going to retire by all accounts right now. It looks like that. I still think they need some help with depth at linebacker. So they need some help at a lot of positions So to me, it's Mac Jones or bust right now. And I still have faith that he can get this turned around with the right kind of tutelage and leadership. And I think Bill O'Brien will bring that.
Yeah. Do you think, do you see them winning the AFC East next year?
Well, I don't know if I can quite say that. I mean, people are obviously down on Buffalo all of a sudden, like this is, I'm reading articles where this is the end of the Bills. Really, I don't know. I think they still got some pretty good weapons. They'll be tough to dethrone. I do think this team should be a playoff team next year. They should have been a playoff team this year.
Yeah, it's like a game off, wouldn't they?
They lost. I mean, you take the home game, they lost to an awful Bears team, and then the 2 games they just threw away.
That was a low point of the season, that Bears loss.
Well, I would have said that too until the Raiders lost. They just threw the ball. I mean, they threw the game away literally, and and then against the Bengals, they should have beat the Bengals. They fumbled the ball inside the 10 on their way in.
See, that's what I was in. I was just talking about that particular game before you came on here. That the fact that they practically shut the Bengals out in the second half. Look how good the Bengals are. I was wanting to point this out to you. They could, and air quote, they could dethrone Buffalo because Josh Allen's big money hits. They're going to have to do something. $39 million cap hit there for Josh Allen. And they don't have a running game either. They need an offensive-minded head coach, in my opinion, but that's a different topic, I guess.
Yeah, I've never been the biggest McDermott fan in the world, but they've had too much talent. To me, they're and again, maybe their window is closing. I don't think they're going to fall to 7-10 next year. I think they'll still be a competitive football team. And Miami, who knows what's going to happen in Miami? I know you want to chat about that anyway, but I think
we can go right there with Tom Brady's getting. Report he's looking at private schools down there. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
It's funny. Miami? I would like to say, there's nothing to that, whatever. But the last time I did that, it was when him and Giselle sold a house in Boston. And I said, so what? People buy and sell houses all the time. And next thing you know, he's signing in Tampa Bay. So I'm never going to discredit one of these reports again.
Right.
Why else would he be looking? I mean, he does now. In fairness, he does have a home there, so
and she's got one there too.
Yeah, supposedly. So there could be nothing to it. I mean, does Miami? I don't know what the Tua says. He's coming back. I mean, I don't know if I'm him, if I'd come back. I mean,
if they sign Brady, do you think they would keep a guy like Tua because he's on a rookie contract?
He's still on a rookie contract, right? I don't know when they don't have to pay him for another 2 years. I don't think probably. Yeah, I probably would. I don't think I would just give him away because Brady's not playing another 5 years. I don't think.
He's 46.
I personally think, Robert, I've thought this before. I thought last year when he retired, he was done too. I just feel like he may walk away, but somebody's going to want, their teams are going to want him. Miami might want him.
Yeah.
Josh McDaniel might want him. The 49ers, I don't know why they keep coming into play here because of the play. I mean, I don't know that they
Purdy. I mean, people think that I don't think it's exaggerated. I think the guy's a good quarter. I think he's more Shanahan is giving him more of a feel, more freedom than he did Jimmy Garoppolo when he first got there.
I agree, and I think that tells you how much trust he has in both of those guys. So Purdy's played well. I don't think you can just say this is a 6-game wonder. I think or 7 games now, I guess. But he's got some staying powder. But his name keeps coming up in San Francisco as well. I just knowing his makeup. I just don't. I think this is who he is. He doesn't know who Tom Brady is without being Tom Brady, the quarterback. And
I keep saying that, man. He's got all the money. He got 7 rings. What else do you want, man? It's like a void or something.
I guess we'll never know because we don't have that thing that he's got that made him so great. That does the same thing that made him so great doesn't allow him to walk away. And I don't
type A personality, triple A personality,
triple A, and I'm really afraid you're going to have like a Y.A. Tittle moment with him where you're going to see him on the field, on his knees bleeding.
I've been saying that for 3 years. It's not out. It might not end well.
That's what I'm afraid of. Again, he's less mobile all the time. And this year, look, he had some good moments this year. His numbers were okay. But if you watched him play, if you just looked at his number, you say, man, he's still playing at the top of his game. Well, no, he's not. You watch him, and it's obvious. You watched that Dallas game?
Yeah. Oh, man. That was hard to watch. Do
things.
I blame the line, but the line was pretty healthy.
I mean, again,
they couldn't run the ball.
He was jittery back there. They didn't try to run the football. And then when he did throw it, Tom Brady doesn't throw the ball when there's, not just triple coverage. I saw quadruple coverage he threw the ball into sometimes. And he just wasn't.
You hold it against him if he goes to – does it hurt his legacy with New England if he goes to Miami?
Not with me. I mean, with some fans, yes. So some fans already hate him for leaving in the first place. You gave me 20 great years. What's more? You don't owe me anything else. I mean, but he's entitled to do what he wants to do. I'll root against him. I never rooted for him unless maybe I had a wager on a game when he was with Tampa. So, I'm not going to root for him in Miami. I'll have to root against him for sure 2 times a year. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Mike McDaniel. There's no relation, by the way.
I'm not so sure about that. McDaniel, he's a kind of an oddball too.
He's like 10 years older than Mike McDaniel.
I would say at least, right? Yeah, but he strikes me as just like, I don't know. He's like a bookworm or something that something's missing.
Pickles calls them techno geeks.
When he had that press conference after the Buffalo game in the snow, and when he was very seriously talking about what it took to win, and he goes, "Well, I think if we score more points, we'll be all right." And
he tried to be Belichick, ain't he?
And then the whole thing was so done, so dry. It was like, well, I think it works in warm weather if you score more points too. I guess any football game, it's better if you win. That's your formula for winning. Thanks a lot, Mike.
All right, Greg Popovich.
I need that guy to be my head coach, but I already got one of those.
So
listen, I think Brady's entitled to do whatever he wants, but look what he's already given up.
Yeah, that's true. The marriage. I mean,
go
like
take care of your kids.
Be a shrink, a preacher, or
you got a $375 million 10-year contract waiting for you with Fox. Just go take the money and enjoy your retirement, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I know. Or do something else within the game. I mean, do you think he just thinks he's too good for coaching?
No, I don't think he's too good for coaching. I just don't know that I don't think that's what he wants to do. I don't think he's got that kind of
because he feels like he wants to be so he likes that preparation for the game. I mean, you can get that at being a quarterback coach, He could. He's not going to get paid $375 million over 10 years to be a quarterback coach, though. So I don't think that. I think he likes the money, too. Plus, he took a big hit in that whole crypto thing. So he did, didn't he?
So maybe he'll come back because of that, Robert. Maybe he needs the money. I don't really know what his situation is there. I know I've seen rumors that he really got cleaned out pretty good, but I'm sure he, had a little nest egg.
Yeah. I thought it was only like $1 million. Was it a whole lot of money?
I think I heard it was like $75 million.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
See, you're breaking news all over the place.
I don't know if that's your job as a rule, but whether that's true or not, who knows? But
man, I wouldn't trust that kid with 75 cents.
Oh my God. Who would?
He sound like a robot. You talk about sound like a robot.
Jeez. And, your boy Carlos has been trying to get me into crypto forever. This is why I won't get in. I can't trust anything.
Carlos,
I can't hold my hand.
I love Carlos. He'd fall for anything.
I told him, if I can't take it to the store and spend it, I don't want it.
Oh, my God. Carlos, no offense, brother. I've been praying for you. You trust guys like – so how do you see as of today? Now, I know there's a lot of circumstances. I'm looking at the money they're coming back to New England. They've got all the cap money. You have the most cap money of the AFC East, by the way.
Yeah.
And so how do you see this thing shaking out? Are you still waiting for shoes to drop with the Jets in Miami?
I think they'll probably wait. Again, the last time they had this kind of money to spend, and Bill Belichick won a drunken spree. It didn't work out so well. I mean, we came back with Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, and none of them worked out well. We got Matthew Judon.
Henry was okay,
Well, We came out good with Matthew Judon. I mean, that was
I love Judon. Yes,
Judon. Yeah, he's that guy's a great player. But the Patriots. Listen, there's a lot of rumors about Hopkins, and then the Patriots.
I've heard that
after him. Which
would you take a 30-year-old Hopkins?
I think I would. I think I would. Yeah, I don't think he's got a lot of wear and tear on him like some other guys. He's had some injuries, but I don't think he's got the same wear and tear as a lot of the wide receivers do. And I think he would come here and probably conform and be a good player. Now, if he comes here, we'll probably have all kinds of tampering charges because there's video of him when they played Arizona this year, and Belichick said, "Love you, man. I love you."
I played it.
It was a whole love fest. I'm sure that there'll be all kinds of charges of tampering if they were to sign Hopkins or bring him here, but he's not a free agent, right? I think he's got to be traded for.
No, but he's rumored to be traded. They're obviously doing a coaching change.
Yeah.
I think they may want to restart that. There was some footage of him. I watched that. Hard Knocks in season is great, by the way.
I watched it. It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you heard him arguing back and forth with Kyler Murray.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it didn't seem healthy.
I thought that Hard Knocks, by the way, you're right. It didn't seem healthy, though. But to touch on the Hard Knocks real quick, I thought this in season was far better than any of the preseason ones.
Me too.
I thought it was really good stuff.
Yeah, they've got a series called, I think it's called All or Nothing on
Prime.
Amazon.
Yeah.
And they got the idea. They're like, okay, well, Amazon's going to pass us up here.
Yeah.
We probably want to do in-season Hard Knocks, the All or Nothing. They did one with the Panthers where you start from the preseason all the way through the regular season. I thought it was great. I think it's great. They don't do it every year with the NFL. But, yeah, the Hard Knocks is awesome, man. It's and viewers out there, if you can afford HBO or HBO Max, it's worth and quite frankly, the last two, the coaches got fired at the end. Have you noticed that trend?
Yeah. It was who was the other one?
No, they didn't fire their coach. The Colts they traded their quarterback and then later fired their coach, Frank Reich.
Right. And also one of the all for nothings was the Rams a couple years ago, and Jeff Fisher got fired during that.
I forgot about that.
So I guess you don't want to be on one of those shows because it's not.
They did one with the Cowboys. Jerry's got to get on one.
They did the Cowboys. They actually did the Cardinals when Bruce Arians was there. That was actually the first one that I watched. It was that I thought was the best one. They did a really great job, and I think Bruce Arians likes the cameras anyway. So I think.
He is a funny dude, man, and maybe that was the reason why Tampa went downhill. He was better than what they were giving him credit for.
Well, you know what that whole Tampa coaching. He goes upstairs, but he's there on the field.
Yeah, for the New Orleans game.
If you wanted to be the coach, you should have just stayed the coach. You don't help Todd Bowles, who I'm not a huge fan of as a head coach. He's a great coordinator.
Yeah.
And some guys are great coordinators, as we talked about with Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
But, Bruce Arians, just let your guy coach. Don't be down there on the sidelines.
Yeah.
So the cameras can find you.
Well, there was rumors that Brady pushed him out.
I mean, there were rumors that they were having trouble from about the time Brady got there, and
man.
That first year they obviously worked things out good enough to win a Super Bowl. But I can see that. They're two guys. Bruce Arians, he thinks sometimes he invented football. I think, but
yeah, I like the guy. I'm glad he won. He's a good storyteller.
He is. He is. He is.
Yeah. So the AFC East, I guess it's really up in the air. I just think the Patriots. That was just such big news that they actually, because I wasn't sure they was going to hire Bill O'Brien. They've been talking about it for 2 weeks, and it finally came to fruition, and defense is really good. I mean, I just I don't know. And who knows what Miami, if Miami stays, if they keep Tua, I mean, that concussion thing's got to be an issue, man.
I agree. I think it's a dangerous situation for him, and they better keep very close tabs on him. Going forward, there's going to be one huge lawsuit for sure. And also, the team we didn't talk about is the Jets. You know what?
Right. Do you think they'll go get Derek Carr?
I'm not a big Derek Carr fan, but that team with any kind of quarterback, there's a lot of talent on that team.
Yeah.
There's some really good skill position players. They get Hall back in the backfield next year.
Yeah.
Their defense got better in my mind in every phase of the game this year, except quarterback, which is obviously the most important one.
I love the Garrett Wilson pick. Yeah.
He played well without a quarterback this year. I mean, he had really good numbers, and he's only going to get better. I love what they've done in New York, except for the way they've dealt with the quarterback situation, and they got to fix it. Whether it's,
do you think they'll go after Lamar Jackson?
If I'm the Jets, I have to ask. I got to go find out what it's going to take, right? Because that's the most logical thing to do. I mean, Derek Carr, would he be better than what they have now? Yeah, but I mean, I think he's got as many playoff wins as Zach Wilson has, probably.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever actually won a game.
No, he hasn't.
A playoff game. But you know, towards the end in defense, so I read this stat when this came official, he's going to be traded. 30th in defense average, one of the worst offensive lines average. 3 head coaches, Mark Davis. They moved from Oakland to Vegas. COVID year. It's just John Gruden fiasco. Antonio Brown. He had a lot of crazy, unstable atmosphere, to say the least, in Vegas.
Well, they made a huge mistake in not keeping what was the interim's coach?
Rich Bisaccia.
Siacho, yeah, right. He was a special teams guy. Special teams guys always seem to be really good head coaches, except for Joe Judge.
John Harbaugh. See, I made the case that
Marv Levy, John Harbaugh. Yeah.
Would you keep Lamar with what's happened?
I would look to move on, but again, you got to have a replacement. I mean, I don't know. They don't draft. Where do they? I think they might have the 3rd pick from a trade. Where are they? Do you know offhand where they pick?
I know they've got draft capital, but I made if Aaron Rodgers gets traded, they got $33 million in cap room. He'd be a good fit in Baltimore.
He would be a good fit in Baltimore. Now that I think about it, I really hadn't pictured him in Baltimore, but that would be a good fit. I do think he could probably coexist with Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Maybe not the other Harbaugh, but John Harbaugh. Yes.
John's more mild.
Yeah, for sure. And he's a really good football coach. He doesn't get the credit he deserves. But that'd be a good fit for Baltimore. And so then you can move on. Yes, I would move on from Lamar, but you can't do it if you don't have a quarterback, obviously.
Yeah, that's what I keep telling Carlos when I said, if you want to move on from Daniel Jones, that's fine, but you got to have a plan B. You got to have somebody lined up. Don't be like Washington and just make the move and you don't have nobody replace Kirk Cousins.
I've told him the same thing. I mean, I don't think Daniel Jones is the next coming of Tom Brady. Don't get me wrong, but there isn't one guy available to them that I would say I'd move Daniel Jones out of here for. I wouldn't move him out of there for Derek Carr.
Really? I may think about it. I would sleep on it.
I just don't think I would do it. I don't think Derek Carr brings the type of weapons that Daniel Jones does. Don't forget, Daniel Jones did everything he did this year with no weapons except Saquon Barkley. That's it. I think it's pretty impressive what he did this year.
Yeah, Jones is like I said, people think this is crazy, but I would offer him like $18 million and then incentivize him up until who are you bidding against? Who's going to pay him $35 million a year?
This is where it gets scary, right, Robert? Because there's always one dumb owner out there, and that's all it takes.
That's the Daniel Snyder born every day, ain't it?
Right. Yes. It doesn't matter what sport we're talking about. There's one dumb owner always, right? And again, I wouldn't sign him for stupid money. Don't get me wrong. I told Carlos, I'm not giving him, max contract or,
Yeah. But you just wonder what his agents is going to buck for. And I'm thinking you have to average the games where he played Minnesota, who's about 30th in defense, versus what he did Saturday night with the Eagles. And then that's what you got. You got to average them two together.
Yeah. Well,
body of work is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's fair to say average those two, because that's a really good football team that he was playing with one hand tied behind his back because of what where's he going with the football? There's nowhere to go with the football. Plus,
is there a bigger bust signing than Kenny Golladay?
Oh my gosh, that guy's he should have.
They gave him that was a Dave Gettleman move.
Yeah, he should have to pay his money back. That's just not good. There ought to be a rule.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. I will see you. So you know what? I may not catch you. Who do you like this weekend? While I got you on, in case I miss you on the other shows.
I like the Bengals. And before these playoffs started, I picked the Bengals and the 49ers, and I will stick with those picks this week.
You're storing the 49ers going. I've got to break that one down. I'm still on the table. I'm still undecided. I'm an undecided voter with Frisco and the Eagles. I'm right, the Bengals, man. They were underdogs the start of the week, but now they're favorite.
I'm sure. Well, I mean, how bad is Mahomes hurt? I cannot believe that they're
ankle sprain. Are you kidding me? I mean, there's no respect for the Bengals out there. They made a believer out of me.
I bet them against the Bills. I love Joe Burrow. That
guy. You did bet him again. Okay, I was Bills all the way, and then I got just totally stunned, man.
Getting 6. I thought I might get 3 again this weekend because of the disrespect for the Bengals. I don't want to lay points, but I will.
I will. Yeah, I should have betted that Monday morning as soon as that came out, and I didn't. And now it's 3 the other way. Bengals are now 2.5 now.
Can't believe it's that high. It's shocking to me. I should have bet it myself. Now I'm gonna kick myself when they win.
Right. Yeah, I think they win comfortably come Sunday.
I was already lost. I had a good weekend last weekend. The only loss I had in the wagers was the Jacksonville Kansas City game because they got a backdoor cover when they kicked the field goal there.
Oh!
Told my wife when there was 8 minutes left in that game, I said they're going to win this game by 7, and they're going to kick a field goal when they need 2 scores, and I'm going to lose. And
that one gut shot in me too.
Yeah, saw it coming for a long time.
Jeez. Hey man, thanks again, and we'll stay in touch. You never know what's going to happen with them Patriots.
You know it, Robert, and I'm happy to come on here anytime you need me, especially on a Wednesday. It's easy because I'm right here just jumping off my show, and it's easy to jump on. So
yeah, I love Dan. A great guy, ain't he?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, man. Hey, I'll see you Sunday for a quick second.
Yeah, I'll wave to you and have a good day.
Appreciate it, brother.
Have a good night.
All right, man. Thank you, everybody. I will see you all tomorrow, same time, same place, here on Sports Scopes. Pickles says a sucker born every minute, P.T. Barnum. Thank you, Pickles.